Good afternoon. I had hoped to do this in the morning, but it's afternoon now, so here we are. I'm going to do a little Sunday reading for you, just something I wrote from the Apprenticeship to Love chapters that I write on a regular basis as part of a book I'm writing. Some of you may know about this. So today's chapter is called Husbandry and Gardens and Tenderness and yes, Tango, because that's a lot of how I interpret and experience life. So these are the Apprenticeship to Love meditations on this path to authentic relationship. And today's questions have to do with slowing down. So as I slow myself down, how does the sensation of this moment change? What do I feel more of as I slow down? And what am I afraid to feel if I slow down? Slowing down is a risk. And I've got a suggested practice for you if you're interested. Just send me a DM and I'll send you a link. It's a very short practice. And I'm asking people to do it a couple times a day for this month of October. And my practice today started at 4:30 in the morning, and I did an hour and a half, and I yoga and mantra and meditation and some reflection on where I am in my life and where I am on this path. And that's what I'll be reading about. And I also do a vulnerability practice every day. I just basically open myself to feel how tender I am. And so today, what came to me was that my vulnerability practice today is to name what I'm experiencing and to share this. And that doing so, I feel so exposed and so alone, only myself to hold me. And it doesn't matter who I have around me. Ultimately, it comes down to I need to be able to hold myself. So here's what I wrote for today's meditation. It's October 1st and warm enough for me to be writing in the garden again. It's Sunday, and I'm thinking of how to observe a day of rest in my week, a week I often get busy with and don't slow down enough to notice. As I sit here and write, I'm noticing the blueberries going red. I'm seeing the apples at the top of the tree slowly ripening to red. I'm seeing the various yellows and golds of flowers and foliage, of the sun warming them. I'm noticing that the sumac tree is not quite so full of fruits as last year, and wondering whether this is true across my locale and how this affects the starlings that usually descend one day in late fall to pick every berry from the tree. Will that happen again this year? I hear the Stellar's jays nattering. I hear the robins and sparrows and finches talking, much more discreetly. There's a familiar screech from a bird I can't identify, though I've been hearing this call all of my life. And in the background is the hum of this small city where I live, waking to this Sunday morning. And overhead, a small aeroplane seems to amble across the sky. I'm feeling tender to the world this morning, and I'm writing again about tenderness, my capacity to feel it in myself and others. And yes, I'm writing about Tango. I could just as well be writing about the garden and her ways. It's all about what I refer to as husbandry, or how I understand husbandry. The gentle intuition and amazement and, quote, leading by following the follow, end quote, noticing and receiving the gifts of her beauty and her love and her vulnerability. It never stops, this dance, this husbandry. And at least for one more morning this season, I'm in the garden enjoying her. A few days ago, I wrote about tenderness and my capacity to feel into the tenderness around me. To know the sexual vulnerability that is offered not as an invitation to bed, but as the expression of a divine feminine energy when she encounters a safely held space. And in this case, I was writing about feeling that in the Tango embrace. I wrote about how precious is this moment of trust. I wrote about how it humbles me to be trusted, to hold this tenderness and to guide it towards whatever art we might make from this moment. I named this vulnerability as sexual because this is what I have learned, that this dance of awareness and life is the deepest sexual dance there is. Because every day I see and feel this gift of life preyed on, abused, taken for granted, demanded, defiled, and I want to alert those who read what I write that there is a way to honor and hold safe this vulnerability. So if you're listening to this, I'm calling to you to say that there is a way to feel this vulnerability and to honor it and hold it safe without feeling the need to act on it. Because I hear the longing for love from every one of us, from the men, from the women I work with, and our incapacity to trust each other, our incapacity to know that this tenderness that lies within our bodies, each of our bodies, we don't speak its name, and we don't know, and we aren't taught how to hold each other safe as we feel this. Safe to be free. Safe to be free to flow. We live in a hypersexualized culture. We are sex positive to the point of desensitization. With our post-sexual liberation ideas about sex, we have opened a Pandora's box of powerful energy, but with our lack of reverence and respect for its tenderness and its power, we hurt each other and ourselves again and again and again. And we still will not name this energy, our sexual energy, and this holy dance every day, every moment. We resist naming it. And I say, be careful with each other. Careful, full of care. I am profoundly blessed. My beloved gives me the gift of her tenderness. Now let me sit with this for a moment. Let me remember not only her vulnerability and beauty, but also how I have squandered and defiled that offering. Let me remember with regret, with deep regret, how she moved to close herself, to protect herself. I was reckless, she said to me recently, yes, because she trusted what she knew in me, but what I failed to know about myself, that I am capable of holding and revering her holy tenderness. But then I did not know or trust myself, nor her. And she closed herself to me, hid herself from me, for good reason. And in the coldness of my grief, I began to know something of myself, and her tenderness became my way. It led me to this path. Becoming sensitive to my own insensitivity, my own hurt and hurtful ways, I began to see her and to feel her and to know her. And she to begin to trust me, this man who was not trustworthy. I found my way by following the follow, and I began to lead this dance of ours from a sacred place of knowing her, knowing me. Our sexual energies are beautiful gifts we offer each other. And this is a sacred offering, but we treat it and each other. A dance is an expression of this gift. It's a way of transmuting, as one reader put it, the deep sacral energy to join, to create, to enjoy with each other. This is a sacred thing, even as it is a playful thing. And again, we treat it and each other too lightly. What have I learned as a lover, as a dancer, as a teacher, as a husband? That the gift of this sexual energy is rare and holy. And now I am always asking myself, how do I hold her? Not just the woman I love, but this feminine inside of me, inside of the other, that she feels free to flow. Here's what I teach, that we as masculine identified men are too often unready for this gift. We are too often unconscious and insensitive to the deep tenderness we are asked to hold safe. There are things we can do, but mostly we choose not to. And she, our own feminine, our own sensitivity, suffers. And so the woman or the child who needs us to hold them safe also suffers. There is much sorrow and suffering here in our dance with each other. I am learning, slowly, to be more careful, to be more full of care. And I am learning to teach this care, even as I teach those who come to me to learn how to stir and to hold this beautiful energy of our deep and sacred sexuality. It stirs in all that we notice, in all this garden that I notice, in all the dancing that I do, in all the conversations I have. It stirs in all that we notice, in all that we enjoy. And I believe it's our sacred duty and our sacred opportunity, as it were, to learn how to hold this flow beautifully and safe. If this is of any interest to you, please send me a DM or email at rev.hans@sacredbodies.ca, and I'll get you signed up for these chapters. They're free. If you're a premium subscriber, which is $5 a month, there's a bunch of discounts on things that I offer, and teaching and training and stuff. And if you go for Premium Plus, there's free coaching and lots more. Thank you very much for listening. Talk to you soon.